Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we have roll call, please?
Ms. Drumheller.
Here.
Mr. Denise. Mr. Allen.
I have Mr. Denise on Zoom.
Okay. Ms. Webster.
Here.
Mr. Renzi is excused. Mr. Morrow. Here. And Ms. White.
Here.
Mr. Allen? No.
Absent.
Okay, thank you. Announcements and agenda modifications. Do you have any announcements for us?
No agenda modifications, no announcements. I'll cover the rest of it in unfinished business.
Okay. So approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of August 28th? Yes. Any conversation or changes? No. May I have a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're at public input. So I see we have some folks here, so if you have public input for a non-agenda item, if you're here for something that's on the agenda, you can wait until that's brought up at the point in the agenda. But is there anyone here that would like to speak to something that's not on our agenda? Okay, I don't see anyone here. Is there anyone on Zoom for a non-agenda comment?
Nobody's raised their hand.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll go to unfinished business. Current projects update.
Okay, great. So we've completed the Easy Street Park playground, and we're short one ladder that they're going to come and install. We're not going to sign off on that project until the items are all completed and put in. But it is open and good for business, and I think most people that I've talked to there are really enjoying it, even in the rain. They seem to be enjoying it. They like the colors, and it's working out well. Filbert Street Park, I spoke to the vendor September 28th. They have all the parts and pieces in. They're just waiting to get other items done so they can move a crew here and begin with the Filbert Street playground. I don't have a definite date, though, so it'd be unfair for me to say that.
Do you think they'll have that done this year?
I'm going to push them.
It's really kind of.
Yeah, this has been a while.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly in contact with them and their installers, and I'll make sure I push as hard as I can to get that completed. Currently, we're installing fences and working on the Friendship Park playground, Friendship Park baseball fields. We're working on putting the fences up there, and we hope to be done by the end of the week, if not the first of next week. With that, the bases are in, they're installed, and they're already holding practices out there, so it's definitely already a benefit for the community. We're working on Hardy Park right now. Well, we have every time it rains, we have the sand washing away from some tree roots. So the goal is, today I've ordered some screened coquina. So we'll put it down and we'll roll it, and that should manage it a lot better than the dirt and some of the harder coquina we've been putting down. I wanted to talk a little bit about a meeting we had down at Indian River County. It's called Shape the Future. We met down there. There's a pretty good turnout for attendance. It gave everybody an opportunity in the community to speak up and share what they wanted throughout the county in parks. When I had my turn to speak, I asked for, I definitely said, we would love to see more boat ramps in the area. We would love to see more pickleball courts in the North County. We'd love to see more open spaces. And they did this cool little presentation where every time you answer a question, it pops up on this chart, not who answered it, but how many people agreed with that answer. And it was overwhelming, the amount of people that mentioned pickleball and boat ramps. Those were the two highest items that the county could build. So this process will take about 10 or 11 months for that to come to fruition, and they get their plan together. They hired 3 consulting firms that were there, and they all did a really good job of letting us interact with them.
Madam Chair, I just want to provide an update on top of that with what Antoine provided. I've been in discussions with the county as well to have a second kickoff meeting. They scheduled that first kickoff meeting for their county master plan, Parks and Recreation master plan, on the same night as we had our council meeting last Wednesday. So Antoine and 2 other staff members from the city were able to represent the city there. However, we want to make sure that our council and myself, and also we'll make sure you all are aware of given the date. We're hoping to have that second meeting sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. As soon as we have that information, it's going to more than likely be an evening meeting. It will not be during the day. We will pass that information along to you all and the public, and it will be a meeting up here in the North County so that we can, like I said, provide more input from our elected officials who were unable to attend that meeting, and also provide you all with a second chance to attend if you can.
Did any mention of bike trails, extending out the bike trails, like from Sebastian out to Fellsmere?
They did talk quite a bit about a really bigger bike trail to move people away from the roads and creating a better bike and pedestrian trail. It wasn't high on the list of the things that I could see coming in, but I know the top 3 things which I told you were top of the list. That doesn't mean that it's not important to everybody else. That was just important to most of the people that were there that were from the county facilities and from the city of Sebastian.
When they have that meeting, is it public also input?
Right.
So maybe you'll
Yes.
get different people if it's at another time in the
Absolutely.
evening, so you might have some other things that come up then.
And that's the reason they want to do it in a couple different venues, to make sure everybody's included and make it an all-inclusive venue that everybody can share ideas.
And I know one of the other things that is important to the city is looking at the potential of getting a community center similar to the IG Center in the North County area. That's going to be one of the pushes that we have from a city standpoint, is looking to get a community center up here closer so that our residents can have an indoor gym, more classroom space, and those items. So it's going to be a great process working with the county on this, and we can kind of see where the future holds with what we can get in the North County, obviously, because here in Sebastian, that's what we want to see, is more opportunities for our residents to have facilities to participate in. Thank you.
All right, if you don't mind, I'll just continue on to item C, which is the upcoming events at Riverview Park.
Oh, wait a minute, we got to go item B first.
Oh, sorry,
That's okay. We're going to do the committee member park update.
I missed it altogether.
That's okay. Rich, you want to start?
My 3 parks, the yacht club, Main Street boat ramp, and the pickleball courts, nothing new to report, all in good shape.
Okay. You have any?
I did go, the playground at Easy Street is very, very nice. It's a good asset for the park. Thank goodness, even though we got a lot of heavy rain yesterday, the sidewalks are clean, the tables are clean, the ducks haven't gotten to them yet, so the park is very, very clean today. But no, the park looks really good.
And I do not have anything to report.
Okay. Mr. Denise, is he unmuted on Zoom?
He's currently muted.
Does he have anything?
He has the ability to unmute.
On my part, the only thing I have.
Mr. Denise, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but evidently you can't hear me.
We can hear you now.
I tried to get in, before to talk. I had a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Denise.
Well, I was glad to hear about the meetings, but I have a, flyer ahead of me, in front of me that, called for action, by the Sebastian property owners about emergency call to action for docks, north of us in, near Squid Lips and, Captain Hiram's. And I was wondering if that was brought up at the discussion. They've done a nice job with the flyer. I have it in front of me, but I don't see it on the agenda. And I was just wondering if that was brought up at the county meeting.
Mr. Denise, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but if you can get a copy of that flyer to the city, just drop it off with Ron to get to me. We can take a look at that and I can follow back up with you. I'm not sure exactly what that is referencing in that call to action notice.
Yes, I will. I picked it up at the last city meeting, and they were handing them out there. And truthfully, I left the meeting early when they called for swear in everybody that might speak, have evidence. And I saw about 3 dozen people stood up. I decided that I wasn't going to wait that long.
Okay. Mr. Denise, do you have anything on your parks that you would like to bring to the committee tonight?
No, it looked good. They were playing tennis. Matter of fact, I was there this morning again because I had to drop off some tennis magazines that they send us, and we distribute to the parks. Everybody seemed to be happy. No complaints.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I have is at Filbert Park, I'm kind of glad the playground equipment isn't there because there is a bench that if you sit on it or hold your hand on the back of it, you're probably going to get a really bad splinter. It's really, there's a couple of areas. I took a picture I can show you after the meeting. But other than that, my parks are fine.
Madam Chair, before we move forward to the next item, one project update that we failed to mention. It's in the process of being completed. There's a few more upgrades that we're going to be doing, but our public facilities department, their staff overtook the interior improvements to the yacht club as a project within the last month. The only thing that was done outsourced is we had a third party come in and do the flooring, but everything else was done by our staff internally. And like I said, there's a few more things still left to do, but it's back open. It is a refreshed look. We're getting pictures to put on the website. But if you had been in the yacht club recently, prior to the improvements, now when you walk in there, you'll see a huge difference. It brightens the place up, and they did a really good job with it. So I just want to recognize them for that. And stop by and check out the yacht club whenever you get a chance. The interior looks really good.
Thank you.
I had a question. How are we doing on FEMA for that waterfront?
So we did do the dock repairs at the yacht club. We got approval for that. We still have not yet to receive approval to do the repairs at the Twin Piers docks. So those are still closed off. It's just the finger piers that are closed off. You can walk all the way to the very end of the docks. It's like I said, it's just, I think 4 of the finger piers are closed. However, at the last council meeting, they requested that we move forward with looking at funding them and just go ahead and getting the job done, and then we'll see where FEMA shakes out with their reimbursement. So we are in the process of moving forward to secure some bids, quotes to get those repairs done as quickly as possible.
Okay, to upcoming events at Riverview.
All right, thank you. First is October 10th, we have Homecoming Parade. That's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Looks like we got a pretty good turnout this year. October 14th, we have a craft club event, 10 to 3. Thursday, October 19th, we have community night out for the Sebastian Police Department, and that goes from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Riverview Park. And then October 21st, from 9:30 to 5 p.m., and then again Sunday, October 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., we have the Boo Bash at Riverview Park. Friday, October 27th, we'll celebrate the Halloween event / movie night at Riverview Park and the Twin Piers, and that will go from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. The 28th of October and the 29th, Hiram's Hall will be at Riverview Park in Twin Piers area and the kayak launch. The 28th is the Junior Blue Water Open at Riverview Park Pavilion.
What is
And
the,
I'll state real quickly, sorry, I apologize. For Antoine's, in support of Antoine, we would appreciate you all coming out and, for the costume contest and being judges once again. So
Okay,
that is
so
on Friday, the
I
27th.
was going to ask so that you would know who's coming.
Yes.
Oh, I'll be there.
Okay, I'll be there.
Are you going to be in costume? I think you should. Brian did. Can you?
Okay, so Ms. Webster, Ms. White, and myself will be there for judging. Mr. Denise, are you going to be able to judge the Halloween contest this year?
I'm not sure yet. I apologize. I will let you know as soon as I can, confirm it. I hate to say I'm going to be someplace and not show up.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question. What's a Boo Bash for 2 days?
The Boo Bash is just it's a non-city sponsored event. Has a lot of arts and crafts and things for kids to do, family outing.
And who sponsors that?
I think that is,
Barb Snow, it's an event put on by Barb Snow. It's a lady that she runs a couple of events within the park annually. I think she's up to 4 or 5 events that she rents the park from the city, and conducts her arts and crafts events there at the park.
Thank you.
Is that something for, do you know what age groups of kids for that?
I think they will have some kids' activities there, but it's more of a themed arts and crafts as a Boo Bash, Halloween type themed event for kind of vendors and craft vendors. I think there will be some kids' activities, but I don't know exact details on that. Because once again, it is non-city sponsored, so we're not really involved with it. They just rent the park from us.
Okay, have to check that out. It's the first I've heard of that. Okay. All right, so item D, which we're kind of keeping on our agenda to just see where we are, is more about the pickleball discussion.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So just to give an update, I know at the 2 meetings ago, you all had requested that I get some information in regards to Pickleball U and the courts that we currently have. And also, at the last meeting, you all had directed staff to just place this item under unfinished business so that it could kind of stay on the top of everybody's minds and going forward. Just to kind of clarify and give some answers, I know we've got members of the public here, and just to give feedback and make sure you all are informed. Currently, the city does not have pickleball expansion in our capital improvement project for 6 years. The discussion that was had amongst this committee was after the moment in which, or the time frame in which we include capital projects on our plan. That's not to say that it can't be added. We are currently looking into that option. However, I think probably our first step in this is we'll continue from a staff level to continue to research look into our options, but also with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan from Indian River County, I think that's going to be a big element that comes into play as well, is to look and get some additional utilized funding from the county and potentially the city. We'll see how that all shakes out, to get some additional pickleball courts in the North County. But with that being said, we're still continuing to do our research. We're still looking into it. I will say that, the numbers are only going to go up from what I presented to you all 2 months ago. They're not going down. And quite honestly, when you look at expansion of pickleball courts, as I stated at the last meeting, depending on the number of courts you add, depends on the amount of parking we've got to add. The land at the airport is not free. We pay, currently the land that we rent from the airport is about $7,000 a month, or $7,000 a year, sorry, not a month. $7,000 a year. And the rest of that property is currently being looked at for some potential expansion from airport operations. Not city airport operations, but those are things that the FAA, when they look at what we're doing with our lease agreements with the airport, they want operations that are supportive and functioning for the airport and not necessarily just taking over for city operations completely. So all those things are kind of in play at the airport site. We haven't extended to look at additional sites within the city. I know we had discussed that before. That discussion really hasn't taken place at this time. But there was also questions in regards to the agreement between Pickleball University and Vero Beach. I know that was kind of a discussion that we had 2 months ago and saying, well, what do they pay? What happens? This or that. So back in, I think it was 2019, the city of Vero Beach entered into a license agreement with Pickleball University for the use of their pickleball courts at Pocahontas Park. In exchange for a nominal fee, I think the fee, I'm looking at it now, might have been in the range of $400 to $500. They entered into an agreement with Vero Beach. Basically, that agreement gives Pickleball University full control of those courts. However, any upgrades, and I think the basis of this agreement were the capital cost and capital improvements that were going to be necessary to those courts. I know that Pickleball University, probably on the low range, and this is probably higher than this, but they probably contributed in the range of $250,000 plus in capital improvements to the pickleball courts at Pocahontas Park. So I'm pretty sure that's where the license agreement came into play with Vero Beach, so that the city didn't have to expend those funds. They had a license agreement with Pickleball University. With that being said, Pickleball University runs an operation out of Pocahontas Park. They have memberships as of today, and last week when I looked, they have capped their membership at 1,045 people. They're not taking new memberships currently. However, they are going to be looking to open that up going forward in the future, based on, I think they may be seeing some membership numbers starting to go down, possibly with the county opening their facility, because you got to remember, they probably have their annual renewal of memberships happen sometime, late 2022, early 23, before the county facility opened up, the outdoor facility the county opened up. So those are all numbers that they're looking at. Like I said, I just read some of their meeting minutes and kind of seeing where they were going to go in regards to that. But they are currently capped with a maximum number of memberships at 1,045 people. And they have opened back up for a waiting list because they are trying to prepare for the future in case some of those memberships start to go down. The memberships, the last fee that I could find was from 21-22. On their website, it was $325 plus tax for the annual membership. That did include a $200 initiation fee. So then when you renew, it was $125 plus tax back in 21-22. I could not find more up-to-date membership rates. But with that being said, they do have a drop-in rate that, from what I could find in the heavier months, it seems like in 2022, late 2022 in the fall season, they increased that drop-in rate to $15 per person to drop in and play. And then sometime in the late spring, possibly because of the hotter months in the summer, they reduced it back down to $10. I couldn't find anywhere that discussions had been had. I think that rate, according to what I could find, was to end in late September, as we start to get back into the season, but I can't confirm what their drop-in rate is as of today. But that's the research that I was able to do on Pickleball University and kind of get their information, and I found this via their website, City of Vero Beach. I got their lease agreement with them and their meeting minutes just from Pickleball University's meeting minutes. So with that being said, you know, one of the thought processes and big push here in Sebastian is we want to maintain our courts to be open to the public. You know, we appreciate, obviously we get people from outside of the city. You know, a lot of people think they live in Sebastian, they really don't. And so they would be kind of kicked out of if we just went to residents only or charged different fees or this or that. So we kept our rates zero. It's free to play at the courts with the exception of if you want to play under the lights, it is still $5 per token. And I think there's a discount if you buy 5 tokens or more, something like that. But that's kind of our update for tonight. Like I said, we haven't gone too much further, but I'm here. I can answer any questions you all have for me. And then obviously, I'm sure you might have some members of the public that would like to speak as well.
Well, thank you for that update because that answered pretty much all the questions that I had. But I'm very excited to see that Parks and Rec in the city, that the county, that there's some discussion because the county has, you know, we have the biggest population here, so we should be giving a little pushback to the county to start sending some things up north that they've done for South County and for Vero Beach. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. Any conversation up here?
I do not like the idea of this pickleball university charging membership fees.
Well, we can open it to public input. Is there anyone that would like to speak about the pickleball situation? If you'd like to come up and if you would just give your name for the recorder, just come on up to the microphone here, please, sir.
Hello, my name's Dave Havens. Thanks for hearing me out. I just had a couple of questions because it sounded like funding for the proposed pickleball courts that we had is going to be delayed, or it's not going to be upcoming soon, or I was a little confused as far as the time frame that we're talking about. And
well, we had discussions as a committee that there was a need for more pickleball courts, but we did not have that discussion at a time that it could enter into and be considered in the city budget as a capital expenditure because it's a lot of money. It's not like $1,000, right?
Yep.
So the committee wants the city to understand that we understand that the residents have a lot of interest in more pickleball courts.
Right.
And we've asked them to keep this on the agenda so we don't lose sight of it, but we really don't have a past proposal that is working forward in the system at this point.
Well, I guess my question would be then, what can we do as individual taxpayers of Sebastian? What department would we contact to see if we could get the funding?
Well, you're actually
you're
at the appropriate meeting.
Okay.
Because this is where you go first, and then we would make recommendations to City Council and to the head of Parks and Recreation. We happen to have the city manager here too, so he gets to see you. But I mean, you all of you can regularly go on the City of Sebastian website. You can email your City Council folks. You can call them up. Their numbers, their emails, and their direct line numbers are right there. You can email the city manager. I think all of us, and others can speak for themselves, I think we realize that there's a need and a desire for more pickleball courts, and we would like to get this move forward, which is why we're keeping it here,
Right.
instead of just kind of letting it lag till the next year. So I don't know if you can tell us, I know we were out of trying to put it into the 5-year plan and the budget, but at this point, we have an opportunity to do that for the next budget talks, correct? Yeah.
And so your department would handle that end of it then, as far as budgeting or asking for a budget of X amount of dollars?
Well, actually, actually, that's handled by the staff. But as a committee, we've all committed to trying to move the pickleball project forward.
I appreciate that.
We kind of talked a little late. We got in late on the budget process, so there was no way to throw it in when we talked about it. So we know it's there, and the budget process in '24 is when I believe that we would start trying to push that forward. Brian, can you?
Yeah, so I can speak on this, and, do you have any other questions? Because I don't want to get into a back and forth here. I'm not gonna, I just want to make sure I answer all your questions in one fell swoop and not go, I don't want to get into a back and forth.
Okay, so my second question would be, the proposal to go down to Pocahontas then, or, I don't know, I see where your reference was, referencing Pocahontas and how they do their operation. Would you be thinking about bringing something like that up here, or just?
We just asked, the committee we asked the staff to give us information on what was going on there, because we didn't know. So they just brought it back informationally.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, so
square, too.
what you heard was information that we requested, so that as we move forward and look towards pushing for more pickleball, that we're all united in what we're asking for.
Okay, so South County, their new 16-court pickleball is free, as far as I know. Last time I went and played there, the lights are free. There's no membership charges or anything like that. So I see South County having a great facility, plus they have indoor IG center. But anyway, so they have those facilities, but it seems like, I don't know.
Well, remember
Why can't we get something like that without having to have memberships? And a lot of our players are young kids and they don't
I
have
think
that.
we never really got into doing membership. I don't think we've ever discussed that as being an option. We
Okay,
wanted it
I'm
open.
just, from what I heard, that's.
But I talked last time, or brought this up, is I don't know why we can't push for North County to have pickleball courts. And with this parks discussion, I think that would be a good place. Get hold of the county, about doing that. I mean, I don't know why we can't have that on this side, because the South has it. So maybe that's where you need to focus if you're trying to get more pickleball courts.
So go to the county end of it.
I would push on that end. That's just my thought.
I don't think you can really compare the county to the city of Sebastian.
No,
You can't, it's
no.
Well, it's
so
different
different.
But I
budgets.
guess I was.
So different.
I
You
was
just can't
thinking,
compare
why
them.
don't we have it if they have it?
You have to go to the county.
And that's something your group could actually, investigate and push for, because I think we should have them here on the north.
You may want to look and stay apprised at the meeting that Brian referred to, that the county is having.
Yes.
And if we get a lot of resident support to go there,
Okay.
that is the county and the city together. So it really is, the squeaky wheel. You have to show up and show support. And
Right.
unfortunately, there's just not one spot that you have to do that. But having an audience with the county and reminding them of the strength of the city of Sebastian in relation to our population
I'd be glad to
versus
do
South
that.
County, and so, but we have to do it, because one person can't go there and say,
Right.
well, there's 100 people behind me. They need to see everyone spending money based on need and desire. So I don't know if you are on the City of Sebastian webpage at
Yeah.
all, or if those.
Sure.
But I am also, and as soon as I get this date, I will post it. The time, I don't know if they generally do, but I would encourage you to look for that, because that looks like it's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they just had one actually, and I missed it, but
So
that's cool.
So
Okay, that
keep
answers-
doing what you're doing. You know, it's.
But I would reach out right to the county.
Yeah.
And start doing that now, and you get enough people to do that, they're gonna be looking at, the input. So I would
Excellent.
start doing that now.
And you have North County City Commissioner, so
Okay.
you can email them directly too.
Yeah, very good. And then just one final thing, if I may make a suggestion, since it looks like this is going to be a while and whatever, is there any way that maybe Human Park could be improved and maybe dedicate those two areas that are now designated kind of a tennis / pickleball into maybe just pickleball? Because the couple of times I've been there, there's been tennis individuals giving lessons, and the tennis balls are all over the place, and it's just really hard. And I know there's conflicts there always of some sort, but if that could be designated as a pickleball court and given some attention, because right now you can't even see the lines around the courts and stuff like that, that would help alleviate some of the backlog
Some of
that
the
we have
pressure.
over there.
Okay, thank you for your
Yep.
comments.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you for your time.
Anyone else come on forward?
Hi, my name's Bailey Walker. I'm part of the Sebastian River High School Pickleball Club, and while we are incredibly grateful for the 8 courts that we currently have, I think it does need to be a priority to push for more, because right now, 5 out of the 7 days of the week, we can get max 1 court open, and we're forced to practice later with that. And with that being said, we're paying $40 to $60 a week just to use the lights for our kids to play. So I just think it needs to be pushed to be a priority for the 2024 budget, so that way it's just more accessible for everyone, for the high school and outside of the high school.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing your opinion. Anyone else? Come on forward.
I'm Jackson Holler. So if we did pickleball courts, they would only be at North County. We wouldn't have any at Sebastian.
No, we have Sebastian pickleball
But we
courts
wouldn't
currently.
add on to more.
I can't tell you that. This is all open discussion about pickleball.
Okay.
Yep. Anyone else? Come on.
Hi, my name is Aiden Streeter. I wanted to know what you meant whenever you said you're keeping it on the agenda or you're pushing it. Like, what does that mean?
You want to know why we're keeping it on the agenda?
I wanted to know how do we know that you guys are keeping it relevant and not just pushing us to the side?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Come to the meetings every month. We have meetings here every month.
And then
then
every
it'll be
meeting,
discussed,
if we
you-
just push to it.
Right. So the more you talk about it, the better chance you have of getting it done.
We're keeping it on the agenda because we know that there are people that want to have more pickleball courts, but we also get to the point where it's the money issue because they've gone up so much in price, and we only have so many parks to put it in. And that's why I personally think we should push for North County, because they have the room and probably the money to be able to do that. So I would just encourage you to reach out, even as students, to reach out. You can write letters and call, just like everyone else, your future voters and taxpayers. So they want to hear, and they like to hear from your age also, because sometimes people think pickleball is just for old people. And they have to hear from, the younger generation. And I have to say, I was gone for a couple months and visiting family and friends, and when I told my friends in the town they lived, I told them how many courts we had for pickleball, they couldn't believe it. They said it's unbelievable. They're trying to get at least 1 or 2, and it's taken off as a sport U.S.-wide everywhere. So we're not the only city that are trying to get more courts. But, you need to keep pushing on it, and we keep it on the agenda because we know that there's people that are interested. We don't want to just drop it.
Gotcha. Thank you,
And I
Joanne.
think one of the things that we can do to help all of you is if we could agenda item it as a pickleball update, just so that if there's any really new information, we can change it the way it looks on the agenda. And also, you all have ability if, to Zoom in on
Gotcha.
any of our meetings also. And talk there. I can tell you that this committee is very interested in making sure that we meet the needs for Parks and Recreation for city residents. So that's really why you're seeing it so often on our agenda, because we know how important it is, and we don't want to let go of it.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you for
Joanne.
your comments. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Karen Palin. I just wanted to explain that there is a great need for pickleball even right now when it's off-peak. Every day, like in the morning and in the evening, the courts are full. And everybody's really having a great time. And I've been asking them, I brought up all of Ms. Drumheller's questions to them about, would you like them in North County, or would you be okay with just courts? And I was surprised to hear that people really want them really close together. They would like them there, even if it's just the courts. Because for right now, the courts and the parking would be the most important. People barely use the bathroom because they're playing so much that they don't even see a necessity for that. They're fine, but what they really want is to be able to play. And as it is right now, people have to wait 15, 20 minutes to be able to get on a court. So when all the snowbirds and everybody that likes to live here during our winter months come, it's going to be a 45-minute wait or more for just a 15-minute game. So that's why there's a great need for it. So do you suggest that we start pushing on the city council to ask for more courts to be added to this agenda?
What I would suggest to you is that the way the budget works and for capital expenditures, and these are big expenditures, that they have to get into the pipeline, and it gets in the pipeline, it starts here, and then moves up to city council. And at some point, would it be great for y'all to go to city council? Yeah, when it hits their agenda, but it's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
This year, y'all are looking at 45-minute waits, so you might want to get some stand-up comics, a guitarist, hula dancer, something going on, because there's not going to be courts this season, right? But your point's well taken, that there's a need, and we really want to fulfill that need, and that's why we're talking about it each month.
All right. So before these courts were built, it had already been passed through the city council, Parks and Recs and city council, that we would have 16 lit courts. 16, and then I'm not sure what happened. So I was thinking, well, maybe if we do push in city council, like that they had already approved 16, but they only gave us 8.
I don't know about the 16. What 16?
Originally, it was 16 courts that we were asking for.
I think that was going to be back.
That was a while
This
ago.
property that was back behind here, we had done surveys and looked into that to start with so many courts and then be able to spread out. But there was a problem, I think, with parking, access, and money.
Stormwater drainage.
Yeah, it had come up as that we were looking back here to do that, and that fell through, so.
And that's why it was only 8 for this area here. Is it a possibility to build 8 more right next to each other?
Well, that's what Brian was checking on, because we don't own that property. We lease it from the airport. And you would have to talk to him about that. But I think he brought that up about airport property, leasing that out and expanding the courts.
Right, and then also, like, is there an opportunity to buy the property that we need for 8 more courts there instead of leasing it every year?
Who, you?
Well, I mean, the city of Sebastian.
The city of Sebastian, to buy the property where?
At the Airport Drive.
No,
Instead
I
of
think it's
leasing.
all into their property. I don't think they'll sell.
Madam Chair, I'm taking notes. I'll answer questions at the once everybody in the public is done. I'm not gonna
Okay,
get in back
okay,
and forth.
okay.
I really
I'll answer
appreciate
questions.
that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, because I really wanted to hear all your answers, Brian. So that's mostly what the pickleball players really want, is to be together, have 16 courts together. Then we could also do tournaments. We can have activities. Everybody can have enough space to be able to play and everything like that. I also heard that there's another group of individuals that made a company. I think it was like a 504 that they were able to raise the funds by doing like small things, and then they presented it to the city. Maybe it was a 507 something. I'd have to look at it again, but is that
And they raised
Had-
money for what, the courts?
to build more pickleball courts?
Okay.
And then they were able to present them to the city when it actually came to. Is that also something that maybe we could research?
I think we're going to turf that to Mr. Benton when we get all the questions, then he can, because that's a little bit out of our purview of what we
Okay.
do as committee members.
Yeah, like, I just want to show that we would do anything that we can to have these pickleball courts in together. Like 8 is not enough, 16 would be perfect, we would never bother anybody again. Like, no, it's true though, because 16, that's a good number. I mean, for the amount of people that we have, and
Just remember, there's always more. There's always need for more. And in its space, there's a lot of allocation. So I wish that I could just say we could all just support putting it all together in one fell sweep and having it done. But it's really, there are a lot of pieces to that puzzle. And who owns the land, and when's the money going to fund, and how long does it take to fund? But we hear you.
Thank you so much.
We clearly hear you, and I'm very happy that you came to give us the information and ask your questions.
Yes, pickleball is very healthy for the community. It improves your
Okay,
heart.
ladies,
It
please.
strengthens the connections between the people in the community. It's just a wonderful all-around social sport, and everybody should be able to have their own dedicated pickleball courts. Thank you very much.
Did I hear Mr. Denise? Okay.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Tiernan, and I've been playing pickleball off and on for a couple of years. I started in Vero at the university there before it was a university. Pickleball is different. And a lot of tennis players are starting to now come over to pickleball, and pickleball was known as the old people's sport. Obviously, you can see it's not. And we have even younger people playing pickleball. One thing I will say about pickleball is this: it brings young and old together. I've played with very young people, and they've played with very old people. And the thing that happens is we have a conversation. One thing, I was walking out one night at the pickleball court, and there was a whole bunch of young people there. And one young fellow said, "Good evening, ma'am, and have a good night." I was like, I haven't heard that in a long time from a young person. So what I'm trying to say here is it's a great sport to get us all together. I know that, and I thank you for your job and trying to keep it alive, but as Karen said, way back when, I also remember there was a promise, or it was words, but I don't know if it was put in writing, that we were going to have these other courts. We're going to start with these and see how it goes. So now, well, apparently that might have gotten lost somewhere. Another point I wanted to bring up is pickleball etiquette. I don't know if I haven't really read the sign there or anything, because so far it's been good, but it's getting a little testy over there. The courts are so full sometimes. We've had people come, well, I've seen people come and put their chairs there and almost book their spot. That becomes a problem. When there were no courts here, and we were over by Schulman playing pickleball, it became to near fist fights over there. It was bad because people wouldn't get off, people wanted to get on. I don't want to see that happen here. And when I moved to Sebastian, one of the things was Sebastian and its recreation, and it's phenomenal, and I'd like to see it continue to keep that. A question I have, would a petition help move this along? I know he'll answer that.
Well, for me personally, this committee is committed to moving this along. So if you write a petition to move it along, it comes to this committee and you already have our support.
I appreciate that, thank you. And I do appreciate your support, and I just like for the young people here tonight, keep coming, it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do I have anyone else from the public? Is there anyone on Zoom?
Nobody's raised their hand.
Okay, so I'm going to close.
I have a question.
Oh.
Since you brought up about the county taking an interest in more pickleball courts up here on the north side, now how is this going to gel with the city? I mean, we as a committee have not taken a vote yet to you saying, okay, we would like to have more pickleball courts. We'd like 8 more. And of course, somebody out there said, in time, it's going to take 4 or 5 years before we see them. And then when we do see them, then we're going to need another 8. So we should be looking at 16 right now, in addition to the 8 we already have. But the county put 16 in, is that correct?
In the South County.
In the South County? Okay. Is there a possibility that they may consider doing 16 up here in the North County? If so, where would it be?
And truly, that's what these meetings that are coming up in 2.5, 3 weeks are about.
Yeah.
They're about showing support and getting your voices out there. It'll be local, it'll be in the North County this time. It's open to the public. All the public's encouraged to go to share their views of everything that, including pickleball, that's important to them. And that is, I believe, the fastest track to get what we need for pickleball courts. I wouldn't know where they would put them. I would assume probably, somewhere up here in the North County. I don't know what land they have available, or if they'll piggyback on somebody else's land, or do a joint effort between the city and the county government.
What is the date for that?
I don't have it exactly, but I was there last week, so I think every month they're going to have one for 10 months.
Okay, so.
So a month from the 20.
And if the public is looking for that date, they can get on our website? How can they find it?
I'm not sure if it's printed on our website, but I'll make sure it gets put up on the website that has the correct address and time and date.
On the city of
On the
Sebastian?
city website.
Okay.
So do you think that they would be more inclined to use county property? I mean, I just see the city looking to do something and the county's looking to do something. And somehow or another, I think it's better if everybody comes together to do something. Funds from the city, funds from the county. Let's get what we want, and let's look ahead. Like I said, a couple of years from now, we ask for 8, we'll get 8 more, and then we're going to need another 8. So we may start looking at the 16 right now. And if the county's willing to do that and the city can chip in, I think, more power to all of us. And we have, the young folks are here. This is the first time I've seen them out here. I didn't even know they played. Okay, and there they are. And I bet there's a whole lot more of you than what I see right now. Am I right?
At the school now.
So.
Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, first thing, I just want to acknowledge and recognize all of the students that we have here tonight. It takes a lot to come to a public meeting and for quite a few of them to get up and speak in front of the microphone, knowing that you're being broadcast and people in the public can see what's being said. So I just want to, acknowledge you all coming out tonight, and we really appreciate it. And I welcome any of you to contact me and get involved in what the process is. I'd be happy to meet with any of you and get involved in government, get involved with local government. It's a good thing, and we appreciate all of you coming out tonight. So I just wanted to start with that. Second thing, I took some notes. I don't, public input is public input, and not really talking back and forth. They give us their input and we'll provide answers later. So in regards to funding and the budget process, our budget is a pretty detailed process. We typically start in February or March of the year, and it's finalized sometime in late September to go into effect October 1st. So we just started our new fiscal year. Once we had this discussion amongst the committee a few months ago, we were well into the final stages of our capital improvement project process. With that being said, how does this get funded? There's different mechanisms that can fund it, but you know, the key part that we used to fund the existing courts was recreation impact fees. I'll tell you this right here today, that we do not have sufficient funding to fund anything of this nature in recreation impact fees. Those funds have been allocated out over the coming years, really to replace, I know playground replacements is something that we're required to do as a inspection process, and it comes down to the playgrounds not functioning, and we either remove them and not replace them, or we have to budget to replace them. So Rec Impact Fund is pretty much out there in regards to funding that with that option. There is some additional general fund budgeting is where we come into play with the millage rate and taxes and how that all kind of parlays into it. We typically, larger projects such as this have to go either Rec Impact funds, or we look into some of our alternate funding sources. I know one of the things that was brought up was in regards to a potential, I believe what Ms. Palin was referencing was a 501c3, which is technically a nonprofit organization that people can donate money to that goes towards a purpose. Those are set up nationwide for many different elements. They can, you know, I'm sure that Pickleball University is a 501c3, I'm pretty sure. So that's how they raised the funds to be able to do what they did in regards to how they fund improvements to Pocahontas Park. Once again, I just don't want to state, you know, what we have out there right now, 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, cost the city somewhere in the range of $650,000 to $700,000. With inflation, current cost now, based on our best cost estimates, even without the restroom building, you're going to still be approaching somewhere in the range of $900,000 to $1 million. The reality is parking has to be, even if we build the exact same footprint of 8 courts right next to it, we have to double or triple the size of our existing parking because we already do not have enough parking there. So in order to do that, that's additional cost. Bathrooms is something that can be looked into in the future once we get out to potentially planning a project such as this, to see what the code requirements are, whether it's required to have a bathroom at that specific area or not. So there are plenty of elements that we can look into and some cost saving. But even without a bathroom, you're looking at $900,000 to $1 million currently. And that price is only going to go up. So kind of taking all that into account, we do not have sufficient funding currently to have with that in the current budget, so it is not a budgeted item. In looking out, we reference our 6-year capital improvement program. That doesn't mean that next year we can't add an item in 2 or 3 years out. We can add items in funded, show that we can fund them, and go forward from there. So don't feel like, well, we didn't have it in this year, so it has to be 7 years out. That's not reality. The reality is we do a 6-year plan to try to plan for the future, but projects can get added in. You all are 100% correct. This is where this project starts. It's where the initial pickleball courts got started, and it does take time. I know people don't want to hear it. They want the courts tomorrow, and I recognize there is a need, but you know, it's going to take us some time and go through this process, and the support can continue to happen. They can continue to come to meetings and get whatever update staff has. I can tell you staff isn't always going to have a full update in regards to like what we kind of presented tonight. To answer the first person's question that spoke, sorry, I'm jumping around. I'm just trying to cover all the questions that were asked. We are not looking to go to a pickleball university plan. That's not what we're looking to do. The committee specifically asked us to get information on how they got into their lease agreement and what the lease terms were. So we provided that information and how much they had to pay for a drop-in rate. So that's where we are currently with that. The master plan meetings, just to kind of clarify a little bit, Antoine's 100% correct. I think they're going to look at like monthly meetings. However, we have specifically requested from the county to have a second kickoff meeting for the North County. Should take place in the next 2 to 3 weeks. This meeting was not a planned meeting with them. It is a direct result to, we had a council meeting on the same night that they had their kickoff meeting. So our elected officials and myself and other members of the community who were at that meeting, which was our second public hearing for our budget, which is a large meeting for us, were unable to go down to that meeting. We had staff representation there. Antoine was there. However, we did request a second one. They have reached out to us, asked what dates and times work for us. We're trying to get some answers back from our staff and council to make sure that we can align for I'm pretty sure it's going to be in an evening in the next 2 or 3 weeks. As soon as we have that date, we will post it on our Facebook page, the city's website, and I will try to get a contact from the high school so that we can get the information to them as well, so that they're fully informed. With that being said, I'll kind of go to the discussion in regards to the master plan from the county. The city has no control over what the county builds. I want to be clear on that. What we can do is we can show support for what our residents want. We have shown support. Antoine was at the first meeting, and one of the items he brought up was additional pickleball courts were needed up in the North County area. When we say North County, it doesn't necessarily reference North County Park, out by where the swimming pool, by the middle school. However, that is a location that I'm sure if in the future pickleball courts are looked at from the county standpoint, that will be a location they probably consider. We have no control over where they consider. We have no control if it ever gets funded. All we can do is represent our residents and our constituents and push the county for that to be included in their master plan. Keep in mind, their master plan is going to take 10 to 12 months to even develop. So then at that time, then they have to align what they feel as though are the biggest priorities in the county and figure out funding from that point. So that is another way of just considering that it's not an overnight fix as well. Airport Drive property. So the airport property is owned by the city, managed. We have to report back to the FAA. They oversee the property. There is no way that we can buy that property, separate it from the airport. It is dedicated to that. We are going to have to pay a lease payment on that. Once again, the existing footprint is about $7,000 a year. I would expect it to be similar to a little bit larger footprint for additional courts if they were to be built on that same site. But yes, that is a site that's in consideration. I agree with some of the remarks that were made that if you're going to build additional courts, that's probably a good location. In regards to, we could then have tournaments, you'd have a larger footprint to be able to promote and bring in some things like that if they were interested in that. The final thing I'll say is members of the community can reach out to myself or council at any given time. We're open. We can have the discussions. Petitions, that's completely driven by the residents. So I don't want to prevent anyone from doing anything that they feel will help their measure or help their process move forward. But just know that this committee recognizes it. I recognize it. Staff has recognized it. It has been stated numerous times. And we will kind of formulate a plan as we go forward to where we can fit something of this nature potentially in the budget going forward. And if the committee has any other questions of me, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benton. And just for those that are here, recognize that this committee is a city committee. So we are not going to drop this, even though we want to have conversations with North County. So it will be on the radar of both entities until we can find a resolutions to give the city residents what they're asking for in our Parks and Recreation, which is what our mission is. Okay, new business. Lordy, lordy, we get to pick out playground stuff now. You want to lead us through this?
All right, so we had 3 bids come in that we're going to present to you tonight. If you go to the second page, you can see what the total expenditure will be from Playmore. That's $349,990.88. And their design is starts being pictured on page 16. If you've had a chance to look at it, it goes through all the way through to page 21. And they're always followed up with some suggestions from people that work for them that also are all-inclusive for ADA capacities and manage things just like that for those reasons. The second quote you'll have is from Game Time, and option number 1, you'll see the price come in at $342,586, and you'll see the pictures to follow. If you've taken time to look through those, we can go right to where it ends on 44. And the following page will be just an aerial overview. The second quote from Game Time comes in at $331,000 and $331,003. And this option shows pretty good views of everything. And it continues on page and ends up on page 63. That's with the aerial overview. And the bid from Top Line Recreation and Playground came in at $356,865. A little bit more than we anticipated, but still right in there in the ballpark of what we wanted to spend. And you'll see all-inclusive features, and the pictures end up right there, 2 pages over. They also put the design summary in behind it, so you can see how all the components go together. And that would be for you guys to decide on exactly what you want, reminding you that the colors can be changed to suit your individual needs or what you think the city would prefer. Those are just renderings I thought would pop off the page a little bit better than just looking at non-colored paper.
I like Game Time option 1, if we're voting.
Can I ask on Playmore, what is that thing that looks like a spider web with the green on page 7?
Oh, that's a sensory.
So is it climbing inside?
I think it's a swing type thing inside.
This?
The red part, yes.
What's the rest of that? Bars for climbing?
So it's like a rope material that they would be able to climb up on, and climb around. The interior portion is a sensory type item, but it is kind of something that would be able to, they could adequately climb on and kind of climb around it, per se.
I looked at all of these pretty closely at home, and I didn't like the Playmore. option. The game time design option 2, one of the things that I really liked about this particular option is because the park is a large space, and this is the inclusive park with more sensory than at some of our smaller parks. There's the space, and they've spaced it out so nicely. So we have a really cool musical section in this particular one. A lot of sensory things. There's a little car thing, and I don't know, 2-3-year-old kids just love to just be in the cars. And there's so much, I like that they have the cover so that there's some shade. Most all of this is very open for parents to see wherever their child is within the area. And the sensory components on this one seem to me to be really good additions for a creative playground. I really like that piece of it.
So I was going with option 1 because I like this zip line thing with the swing. And I didn't think they had it in option 2, but they do have it. And so option 2 seems to have a lot more stuff.
Music
So I'm switching to option 2.
Have we done game time with the company?
Yes,
We have.
yes.
And how are they to work with?
They're good. They are the firm that we are using right now for Filbert, that we have seen a delay in the, installation portion that's currently going on. However, I wouldn't let that deter us from making this decision.
No, I was just wondering if we've had that.
Our, what's happened with them and working with them has been really good, with this. I do just want to point out one thing in regards to kind of our thought process with this playground was to get something that was more accessible for wheelchair usage. So if you notice, quite a few of these, I think 3 out of the 4, all do have systems in which the wheelchair participants can roll onto the, and have access to the slides and stuff without having to move from the wheelchair onto the system. So that's kind of one of the things that 3 out of these 4 are accessible with ramping structures included in them.
Is option 2 one of the
Game time option 2, that looks
Yeah,
like
so
it is,
so game time option 1, game time option 2, and game time, and top line were the 3 that were the wheelchair accessible portion.
What is, on page 61 for game time option 2, is that, with that bar going around, what is that? Do we know?
So, I'll let Antoine explain what this is.
Okay. On page 61,
Yes.
this is a,
Attorney Michael.
sorry, this is a favorite of mine.
You added this personally,
I was
right?
glad I ran across it and had it added to the system. It is a zip line that you can ride with your child. And the other option
I see
is
where the little chair, yeah.
one
How cool is
where
that?
you could ride with a handicapped child.
I like that.
So
So-
kids can sit in that and it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen that at parks, they love it.
Yeah, that's really nice. The top line option is so colorful,
Yes.
but it's all in one.
I don't like it's too.
And I don't like that for the sensory activities, for children that do have some sensory integration problems, sometimes they need to be off to the side doing an activity that's not where everything's going on. And that's pretty much why I like the color and some of the stuff that's nice on that, but I don't like that it's just one big piece. And if you're not good with being around a lot of people, you probably won't be there for a very long time.
Yeah, in addition to what's been said on option 2 for game time, I like 2 things. Number 1, the cost is lower than everybody else. And number two, the slides are not enclosed slides, they're open slides.
Enclosed, there's one enclosed
They're,
and open.
yeah, they're open slides.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other thing, the ones that had all the closed tunnel slides, there's just too many goobers with little kids in tunnel slides. And it gets so hot in the summer and hard to clean them out, so I like the open slides where you can see what they're doing.
Option 2 is my favorite.
I like option 2 of game time playground, option 2. What do you guys think?
Same.
Agree.
Mr. Denise, are you still with us?
Yes, I am, and I agree with you.
All right.
Okay.
Is there a way that, I think somebody should invent some way of cooling the slides? And that would be brilliant, and you'd make $1 million, so anybody with a, that kind of brain, just some kind of cooling for the slides.
Like a mist.
Because it's so hot.
Like a mister or something.
Could always turn the irrigation on. Just kidding.
Yeah. The parents will love that.
So it sounds like, I thought this was gonna be a whole lot more difficult, just telling you.
Okay, so we have the room there for this, for the expansion. Are we keeping the pirate ship?
No, ma'am. Everything will be removed and we'll start brand new. That pirate ship is 12 years old
I know.
and it's served its purpose.
Honestly, I love that pirate ship.
I
I
know.
watched the kids on the pirate ship. That's like taking the airplane out of Pocahontas
Yep.
Park.
Yep.
It's the same thing. Okay, well, I think we might have consensus. Can we have a motion from someone, please? No, no, for the, I don't think we have a choice. It's not gonna pass inspection.
I'll make a motion that we, direct staff to purchase the option 2 game time playground.
Madam Chair, if I may, can we rephrase the motion? Can you pull your motion back and let's rephrase it, rephrase the motion as a recommendation to City Council for approval of whichever playground system you choose.
Would you
Okay.
rescind your motion?
I'm gonna rescind it.
And will you make
Do you
another?
remember everything he just
Would you like me to make the motion?
I'm gonna,
I'll
yes.
make the motion that we recommend to City Council to go with game time option 2 for the playground.
I'll second that.
Is that good?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 I can't
Thank
demand
you. We
that,
have-
what I want.
So I think that's great. So we got through that. Anybody on the committee have items that they want to see appear on the next agenda? I think we have a standing item for just a pickleball update, correct? Okay, thank you so much.
The colors on this playground, I don't have any, I don't really care what colors you use. Let your staff people, unless somebody's diehard on.
I let the staff
Yeah.
do the detail work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, any closing words from anyone? Okay,
Make a
guys, I
motion
adjourn
to
this
adjourn.
meeting.